Hey, what's going on, everybody? From First We Eat, I'm Titan Evans, and you're watching Hot Ones. It's the show with hot questions and even hotter Vigi wings. Today, my guest is known for their explosive personality, their pinpoint accuracy that some would even call sus, and a desire to live out their fantasy of every day is hot bow summer. Ticuus Divination, welcome to the show.
What's up, man? Call me T, by the way.
Sweet. First question, T. Tell the viewers a bit more about yourself.
Well, I'm a fiery dude for sure. I'm less toxic than my cousin. Like Soulja Boy, I love the letter U, and waves of Thrall on the beach are my guilty pleasure. Oh, and I like seeing everything explode.
Ah, got it. Well, T, we don't have a ton of time today, so we're jumping straight to the last dab.
I was born for this, my dude.
Final question. What is your favorite word?
Easy.
Anyone else just get chills? Man, I love that show. But today, I give you the Nuclear Guardian build. I know a lot of you have been waiting around for this one, so buckle up. It's a good one. It revolves around Ticuus and is all about making everything go. So starting off with our weapons, the entire point of this build is to make everything explode. And there's a reason for that we will talk about a little bit later. And I mean, look, if you just like watching everything explode, that's okay too. You beautiful little demons, you. I see you sitting there, evil grin getting wider every time I say explosion or boom. I love you. In my kinetic slot, I am running an ignition code with blinding nades, slide shot, and frenzy. Really, you can run just about anything in this slot, but I would recommend a GL of some kind because explosions make smile. Next, in our energy slot, the main character in this delightfully demonic build, we have Ticuus Divination. Arguably the best bow in Destiny 2 right now. Ticuus first debuted in Season 13 as the Season Pass weapon, and for most of us, we saw its built-in aimbot, looked at the Crucible and went, whatever, everybody already has hacks. Fast forward to Season 15, and guys, Ticuus has quickly become a go-to tool for many Guardians, partly because of the seasonal mod Overload Bow, but mostly because we realized we've been sleeping on a damage-dealing monster. So briefly, Ticuus is the machine it is from its two perks, Sacred Flame and Causality Arrows. Sacred Flame states hip firing this weapon fires multiple tracking projectiles, while Causality Arrows states arrows fired while aiming down sights cause Sacred Flames to instantly detonate. Guys, big damage and crowd control. Ticuus literally does it all. Add in its catalyst, and that gives you the ability to crank its damage up to an eye-popping 105% bonus damage simply by using it properly. On that note, I have gotten a ton of comments and questions about people not knowing how to really get the most damage out of it, so let's go through that quickly before we dive into making everything explode and cranking up Ticuus damage even higher. First, hip fire the bow to mark a target. In one draw, you can mark a total of 3 targets. This adds a burn effect that you can see, but it doesn't really deal a whole lot of damage. It adds the Sacred Flame debuff to every enemy it hits and lasts for about 5 seconds. Follow that up with an arrow aimed down sights and the target will instantly detonate. If a target marked by a Sacred Flame arrow is killed, it will also explode. So you should be alternating between hip fire and aiming down sights. Going for precision shots not only adds precision to the arrow hitting the target, but also amplifies that explosion damage. And yes, this can cause other marked targets to explode as well. Like, look at this. Y'all still think Trinity Ghoul is better? Really? With the catalyst, you'll start to notice you are gaining stacks of Causality Arrows on the left, and once you hit ×5, you have an absurd 105% damage bonus frying things for you. Moving on to our power weapon of choice, this one actually may surprise you. Ascendancy is the seasonal ritual weapon for Season of the Lost and is acquired by simply leveling up in any ritual playlist and collecting the reward from that playlist's respective vendor. Ascendancy is a solar rocket launcher and has a static roll coming with the perks Impulse Amplifier, which states massively increases projectile velocity, increases reload speed, or Ambitious Assassin overflows the magazine based on the number of rapid kills before reloading. Honestly, the first column is really your choice. I went with Impulse Amplifier mainly because I wasn't going for multi-kills with this weapon and valued the faster reload speed. The second perk column has Explosive Light, where picking up an orb of power increases the next projectile's blast radius and damage, and Chain Reaction, where each final blow with this weapon creates an elemental damage explosion. Now again, your choice here based on how you're using this. For me, and you'll see this with the rest of the build, Explosive Light was my choice. The damage buff is around 25% and ties into a mod we are going to be using later. Orbs of Light play a huge part in this build, so trust me with this one. That said, Chain Reaction may not be the worst option either, but more on that later. So what makes up the Nuclear Guardian build? It uses primarily elemental well mods and Charge with Light, as well as a few seasonal mods to give you tons of well spawning, crazy orb of power creation, super fast ability regen, high damage, and yes, explosions. Keep in mind, as stated in the recent TWAB, ability regeneration rates are changing with the December 7th 30th anniversary update, so this build may not replenish your abilities quite as fast, but should still produce some fireworks, which is actually a great segue into our subclass of choice given its love for all things fire. On Warlock, we are running Bottom Tree Dawnblade, aka Attunement of Flame. A few key perks that we're going to be focusing on are Igniting Touch, where striking an enemy with a charged melee ability burns them and causes them to explode. Fated for the Flame, which adds tracking to our Daybreak projectiles and launches a wave of flames on impact. And Everlasting Fire, which extends Daybreak's duration upon a kill. As far as the grenade is concerned, I am running solar grenades, but given that Firebolt grenades will have a faster cooldown after the coming update, I would give that a try instead. Now, with this subclass being about burning things, there is one exotic to pair with it, and no, it's not Sunbracers. Yes, Sunbracers is good, but I want more, like more boom and burning things. Also, I want a boss melt capability, so I turned to one exotic that looks more like a bug helmet than something cool. Bungo, ornament please, Dawn Chorus. Sid from Ice Age's helmet first debuted with Beyond Light and is available from soloing a Legend or Master Lost Sector on Helmet Day. Video in the top right and down in the description to some tools to help with knowing when it's Helmet Day. Dawn Chorus's exotic perk, Rites of Ember, states your Daybreak projectiles cause targets to burn on contact and deal more damage to them. All of your burn effects last longer, and you gain a small amount of melee energy each time one of your burns damage a target.
Note, melee energy returned may vary after the 30th anniversary update.
The main reason for Dawn Chorus is to crank up the damage dealt from our super. If you are looking to amend this and don't care about dealing more damage while in super, swap this with Sunbracers and literally throw grenades until Shax gives you a singular nod of approval. Getting into the meat and potatoes of what makes up this build are mods. We have Charged with Light, we have Elemental Wells, and some seasonal mods. All of them tie together in some way and either buff damage or play into ability recharge. Starting off with our helmet, we are running Hands On, which grants bonus super energy on melee kills, an RPG ammo finder, and Font of Might, which states picking up an elemental well that matches your subclass energy type grants a temporary bonus to weapon damage of that same elemental type. Now, do you guys smell what the Ticuus is cooking yet? On our gloves, Impact Induction, causing damage with a melee attack reduces your grenade cooldown. Thermoclastic Blooming, defeating a combatant with a solar or stasis melee creates an orb of power. And Well of Ordnance, where picking up a solar elemental well grants you additional grenade energy. Moving on to our chest piece, Rocket Launcher Reserves and Argent Ordnance, which adds while charged with light, readying or firing a rocket launcher grants it increased damage and reload speed. Damaging a combatant with a rocket consumes 1 stack of Charged with Light. This adds roughly a 20% damage increase, but if you want to stack multiple copies of Argent Ordnance, it increases it to 25% and 35% for 2 and 3 copies respectively. My opinion, not really worth it. Moving on, our legs, Absolution, reducing all ability cooldowns each time you pick up an Orb of Power. Orbs of Restoration, picking up an Orb of Power grants a small amount of energy to your ability with the least energy. And finally, Taking Charge, which makes you charged with light each time you pick up an Orb of Power. Rounding all this out, on our bond, we have Bomber, which reduces grenade cooldown when using your class ability, Distribution, which reduces all ability cooldowns when using your class ability near targets, and finally, the mod that ties this entire build together and makes the most out of our desire to make everything explode, Explosive Wellmaker, where rapidly defeating combatants with explosive damage spawns a solar elemental well. All right, I know that was a lot, so I will have a list of everything making this build down in a pinned comment. So now that we have everything that we need for our build laid out, let's go through how it all links together. Explosive Wellmaker is going to be generating solar wells from quite literally every part of this build. Grenade detonations on kills, Igniting Touch on our melee, our grenade launcher, and Big Daddy Ticuus are all creating wells for us in this build. Those wells then feed into Well of Ordnance, boosting grenade cooldown, and Font of Might that is going to boost our solar weapon damage. But wait a minute, both of our elemental weapons are solar. Yep, everybody's getting that 25% damage bonus. In addition to Ticuus making elemental wells with its explosion kills, if you have Ticuus Catalyst done, it creates Orbs of Power. Our melee will also create Orbs of Power due to Thermoclastic Blooming and give us bonus super energy with Hands On. And now you're starting to smell what the Ticuus is cooking. Those orbs feed into our ability cooldowns with Absolution and Orbs of Restoration, and kick off our Charged with Light with Taking Charge, feeding into Argent Ordnance, and oh wait, I forgot it also spins up Explosive Light. Best part, Font of Might, Explosive Light, and Argent Ordnance all stack. Taking a look at the damage difference between Ascendancy at its base damage on Carl to its damage with Explosive Light, to its damage with Explosive Light and Argent Ordnance, to its final form with Argent Ordnance, Explosive Light, and Font of Might taking half of Carl's health in one shot. I mean, the game literally says God Slayer Warheads, and I don't really disagree with it. Now, the beauty of this build is its super is viable for doing huge DPS due to Dawn Chorus. Dawn Chorus applies the Rites of Ember debuff to enemies based on the amount of solar burns, and the damage bonus is actually bonkers. Scaling from 35% at 1 through 4 stacks and jumping all the way up to, this is not a typo, 183% damage bonus at 7 or more stacks. This super is now viable for burst DPS compared to things like Nova Bomb and Chaos Reach. So Ticus and Ignition Code are your main crowd controllers that will then feed into Ascendancy, becoming a pocket nuke, and then having a super high damage dealing super as well. This build quite literally does it all. That said, I did find that I would forget to throw grenades as often as I should, so Shax, I'm sorry I let you down. That said, here are a few things that you can change. Sunbracers are a phenomenal alternative to Dawn Chorus, but then you are going to want to lean more into making Ascendancy your main DPS dealer and spec more into your melee instead of grenades. Ignition Code isn't essential here, so whatever your favorite kinetic special weapon is, slot it and see what happens. Any other additions or substitutions that you would have made, let me know in the comments down below. This build actually does work in some GMs, but you probably want to substitute Argent Ordnance for Protective Light, as survivability is going to be much more important than dealing crazy damage. So there it is, my Nuclear Guardian build. This is honestly the most fun build I have found to use with Ticuus Divination so far, but if you have a crazy one that I missed, let me know in the comments down below, or feel free to hop in my Discord and meme around with other members of the Egg Squad. We have a growing LFG channel, and this is where I will communicate upcoming community streams where we complete activities that you need. Like the video if you found it helpful, and hit that sub button and ring the bell to be notified of future videos and when I go live here on YouTube. Thank you all so much for watching, and until the next one, I have been Teagues, you have been beautiful. Peace.